Okay, my name is Gnawky, and this will be a showcase of my single player world. Now, in the past, I've tried streaming this to people via Discord, but two of them fell asleep, and I've realized that with time that I have spent so much time in this world building things and trying to condense it in a 15 or 20 or 30-minute stream just isn't gonna cut it. So I'm gonna make a series of episodes on YouTube that I hope will be around 20 to 25 minutes each, and in each one we'll explore a part of the single player world. Now, this world is almost 8 years old. I created it in either September or October of 2017. I was in my fourth year of university, uh, which now I have a master's in mechanical engineering. But back at the time, I was a struggling student, and I was in a very difficult period in my life, and Minecraft was my escape. And because I am someone who's a very creative person, Minecraft was the perfect outlet for me and a perfect hiding place for me, as I could, I had these grand visions and these grand dreams of what I wanted to build, but I was at a point where I where Minecraft was uh, a tool that I did not quite understand to its fullest extent. So for the first, many years, I played this world in survival only, and it was only in periods of serious burnout that I went and switched to creative to kind of alleviate that issue of when trying to build things that you envision in your mind, you don't calculate the amount of grind that Minecraft has in its core gameplay, and that grind leads to a delay to the vision that you've, well, envisioned in your mind, and that leads to burnout. And now that I'm an adult, I have a job, I have responsibilities. I don't have the time that I once had to grind the materials I need to build the things that I want. So I came to an agreement with myself that I will use Minecraft not as a game, but as a 3D design tool that will let me make those dreams and those visions that I had as a student into voxel 3D art objects. And so now my goal is to showcase what I've been doing for the past almost 8 years. I will do this showcase in both creative and spectator mode, and maybe I'll use some of that cinematic, flashy mode, but I'm not too versed in it, so we'll see how it goes. So I first created this world. I spawned on a little island, and that island was surrounded by oceans. This was in 1.11. And oceans back then were these vast areas with a lot of nothing in it. There were squid in the oceans, and there was gravel in the oceans, and there was a lot of empty space between islands. And so my closest island is that where you see those floating tree canopies. So when I spawned at this island, it had nothing on it. I had to swim all the way there, and I didn't have enchanted gear, so it was really slow, really arduous, but I made it. And over time, I developed this kind of like a starter island, and this house, if I just go up in the air, this house looked very differently in the past. It was your regular Minecraft dirt hut, but over time, I improved it and made it into something that I'm kind of okay with. I'll never be okay with, but it has this distinct bunker-esque style that I always strive for. considering I'm a kind of a fan of bunkers and all those sheltering buildings. And I left some of these carrot gardens. They are here from the beginning. They are very old, and I decided to leave them here as as markers of what once was. And there's a lot of markers like that in my world, like abandoned mine shafts that I've mined through, and this circle of trees which was with me from the beginning. I just wanted to like create some kind of wall, something to border me and kind of protect me from um the scarier kind of horror-like aspects of Minecraft back in the day, because Minecraft was so empty. And when your environment is empty, our minds tend to create our own horrors. And for me, the largest horror is emptiness. So this is the hole where I started to dig down, and this was a kind of like a tiny cave system. And back in the day, I was scared of mobs. I didn't have much experience with Minecraft, and I needed tools, and I needed enchantments, and I needed all these kinds of materials. And I was like, how could I harness mobs without fighting mobs? And I started searching for mob farms. And I got to the idea of mob farms because I was watching Rian's Evo series at one point in time, and he built this giant cylinder-like structure in the air that was a mob farm, and that design was originally by Etho Slab on YouTube, which is, I gotta say, he is my favorite YouTuber. And I built this was one of the first buildings I've made, this giant mob farm. I'll go into spectator here so we can see a bit better. Like, it's a bit dark here. Let's see if I can make that lighter. I'm using Tweakaroo and MiniHUD and a couple of other performance optimization mods because, well, Minecraft is an under-optimized game, and sometimes we just need a bit of a push. So let's see, gamma override true. So as you can see, this inner structure is built from all kinds of materials. We got cobblestone, which is the first material I mined, and then we have some diorite, we have some sandstone, we have some granite. Like there's a lot of different materials here, and I built this farm with whatever I had at the moment. And it was kind of scary because, I got no tools, I got no elytra at that point, and I'm building all this way up in the sky, like the surface of the sea is here, and this is way up, and I wanted to build like 10 levels of it just to make sure it'd be extra efficient. And for a long time, this structure was made of just like stone and all the diorite and the granite. It wasn't very pretty. And in one of those survival creative jumps that I did to alleviate my burnout, I designed this kind of like an Art Deco Empire State Building style outer shell, just to make it a little bit more visually pleasing. Placed some like a viewing platform here with tinted glass so light wouldn't get in. And as you can see, this farm, if I can find the entrance, I have this viewing platform here. This farm is not automatic. It is based solely on the mob AI. If they decide to go over these trapdoors fool the mob AI and say like, oh, you can walk on this block, but they don't, and they just fall into the water streams, and then they go to their deaths way, way down there. And these water streams were something that I had to kind of engineer because the original Ethos slab design and the design that Green used were from an age where mobs were a bit more easier to handle, and I wanted to incorporate spider spawning in this at first, not in the later stages when I added those carpets. And so I had to make the water streams a bit larger, but when you make them larger, water tends to be kind of strange when you add multiple sources of water. And I actually remember the classes I took when I was still studying engineering, and I drew all of this on a piece of paper, kind of like a paper schematic, just to get those streams right. And all of this giant cylinder in the sky, I only built that so I could build an AFK fish farm, which were very popular at a time, so I could get those sweet enchanted books and, enchant my armor, and actually start going places. So let's turn off Gamma, because Gamma makes the world a bit more uglier than it is. So let's get back to my starter island. So as I said, I started digging here. I didn't have torches. I used furnaces to light up the area, and I dug all the way down. And this cave, this rainbow cave that I made, this still has the outlines of my original dig. And with time I was like, I can make this a bit more prettier. I was like, let's make it really colorful, and that's exactly what I did. Kind of made this gradient. It's very reminiscent of a drawing I made back when I was in like second or third grade of primary school. I um I try to make it in 3D to make it as nice as possible. And I got all the way down here. Just gonna phase through some walls, um try not to reveal too much of it. And I dug all of this in survival. I didn't have very good enchants at the time, but you know, this design here of the chests and the walls, like at a time I wanted one of those automatic sorting systems that I saw in Hermitcraft, but I didn't have the resources for that, so I just made it like this, just to make it seem like there's something of a sorting system here, or maybe in the future I promised myself I'd build an automatic sorting system. But when that did happen in the future, my laptop, I had a very crappy laptop back then, and it could barely handle sorting systems, so I had to undo it because I just couldn't play Minecraft. So this is kind of like a relic, and that's kind of like why I called my YouTube channel on me Dawn the Relic, because all of this is just a relic of the past. And so I dug all of this out, and for a long while this was just empty space. This was a slime chunk from the beginning. I didn't know what to do with it at the time, so it just stayed slab for the longest time. And when I stumbled upon Sidecraft and Ilmango, I built an Ilmango's design for a while, but it produced so much slime I had to uh delete it all because the slimes were driving me crazy. But a couple of weeks ago, I started revamping this entire old area, the original area, the designs that I always wanted to do, like this kind of like anyone remembers that old cartoon Ben 10, there was an alien called Upgrade that kind of had this color scheme. And if we go here, we can see from 2017 to 2025, because that's the amount of time it took me to finish this build, you know? And here we have some nether portals and very old-timey designs. And at that point, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with all this. Like, this giant hall wasn't really something that I had planned. And at that period of my time, I was watching Mumbo Jumbo. And I think it was the fifth season of Hermitcraft. I started digging this tunnel at first, to collect some materials, iron, diamonds, and gold, and so on. And this large ghastly image attacked me from above, and there's like an elder guardian. Of course, at the time, I didn't really realize what it was. But I watched Mumbo Jumbo, and I was like, he drained this entire ocean monument in one episode. I bet I could do that. But he's a professional Minecraft YouTuber, and he has a lot of time, and I didn't have a lot of time. So I took upon draining an entire ocean monument. And if we go here, you can see this ocean monument. And I even used the falling, like the cascading water trick he used for the walls. And originally the design that I used for the farm was Nembon's design, but that kind of broke in 1.13, so I made this like a different type of design, and these tubes were just something that was messing around, but I left it, just like kind of like battery structures that power the main structure. Nothing really special. And the circle was also inspired by Mumbo Jumbo's Hermitcraft Season 5 base. This was all built in survival. The monument was drained in survival. It took me around 8 months of draining all of this, and a lot of it was done manually by hand until I found this small YouTuber, Bedrock YouTuber, I believe, on YouTube, who had this kind of like a neat little uh, a redstone contraption which consisted of a piston, a dropper, a torch, a comparator, and maybe a repeater, and it just fed you blocks of sand so you could kind of semi-automate the process. But it was very grindy, and at the end of it, I was really burnt out, and I didn't really have the energy to continue doing this. And and the new year of my university studies was starting, so I kind of had a bit of a break, just to give myself some time. And yeah, that kind of about covers the first part of this series. I'll try to keep this first video as short as possible, just maybe to like create some interest for the people that are watching this. But I there's so much history with this. There's so many events that were happening in real life while I was building all of this, and every block I've placed is a moment in time that is trapped forever in the save file of this world. This redstone contraption I did, the switcher between XP mode and drop mode. I designed this by myself with redstone. I didn't understand redstone at first, but I watched these YouTubers and I tried to use just elementary logic, and you figure things out. Like solving a larger problem like this is just compiling a lot of smaller problems which are easily solved, and then when you combine them into a big problem or into a big solution, then suddenly you have a complex solution to a complex problem, but that in its core elements, it's really just really simple, you know. And here's the little this is something that I've been overhauling lately. This is bedrock level, and you gotta remember this is 1.17. I made the decision to permanently lock this world in 1.17.1 because in my opinion it's the last kind of like uh simple version of Minecraft, the last stable, the last clean, when in Minecraft purist terms. It kind of reminds me of 1.12, which I've spent a long time playing in because, as I said, my laptop at the time couldn't handle 1.13 or 1.14. So I had to wait until 1.15 to upgrade this world, and yeah, that took a lot of time. Anyway, my voice is losing itself at this point, so I will cut this short, and I will see you in the next one.